My patient Sarah had been taking Chaste Tree berries for 8 months with zero results. Her naturopath told her to be patient, but her cycles were still 45 days long and she wasn't ovulating consistently. When she came to me frustrated and ready to give up on natural approaches, I discovered something shocking. She was taking Chaste Tree berry for the completely wrong reasons. Within 3 months of stopping Chaste Tree and addressing her actual issue, insulin resistance, her cycles regulated to 28 days and she conceived naturally. Hi, I'm Dr. Omatma, the holistic fertility doctor. Chaste Tree is one of the most recommended fertility herbs, but 70% of women use it incorrectly and see no benefits. Today, I'm sharing the science behind why Chaste Tree berry actually works, when it works, who should never take it, and the exact protocol that gets results. The information is educational only and not medical advice. I'm a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. Chaste Tree, or Vitex agnus-castus, is the Latin name of Chaste Tree, is probably the most famous fertility herb in the natural health world. Walk into any health food store asking about fertility support, and you will likely walk out with a bottle of Chaste Tree. But here's the problem. Most women are taking it blindly without understanding what it actually does and whether it's appropriate for their specific fertility challenges. This leads to months of wasted time, money, and hope, and sometimes more irregular menstrual cycles than should be acceptable in the world of fertility. Chaste Tree can be incredibly effective, but only for specific fertility issues and when used correctly. It's not a magic fertility pill that works for everyone, despite what many natural health websites claim. Understanding the science behind this herb and using it appropriately can make the difference between success and frustration. Let's dive into what the research actually shows and how to use this information to make informed decisions about your fertility journey. So let's start with the science. Chaste Tree doesn't work directly on your ovaries like many people think. Instead, it works on your pituitary gland, specifically affecting the production of specific hormones. Research published in Phytomedicine shows that Chaste Tree's active compounds bind to dopamine receptors in the pituitary. This action has several effects. First, it can reduce prolactin production. Elevated prolactin can suppress ovulation and reduce progesterone production. By normalizing prolactin levels, Chaste Tree can help restore normal ovulatory cycles. Number 2, it can influence luteinizing hormone production. Luteinizing hormone is crucial for triggering ovulation and supporting the corpus luteum, which produces progesterone for the entire luteal phase after ovulation. Third, and most importantly, Chaste Tree can support progesterone production indirectly by optimizing the hormone signals that tell your ovaries to produce progesterone after ovulation. A study in the Journal of Women's Health found that Chaste Tree supplementation increased progesterone levels and improved luteal phase length in women with luteal phase defects. However, and this is crucial, Chaste Tree does not directly provide hormones. It works by optimizing the communication between your brain and your ovaries. This is why it takes 3 to 6 months to see the full effects and why it doesn't work for everyone. If your fertility issues stem from structural problems, severe hormone imbalances, or even conditions like PCOS, Chaste Tree likely won't be the solution for you. Let's look at clinical research actually demonstrating Chaste Tree's effectiveness. The strongest research supports Chaste Tree for specific conditions. Luteal phase defects, as we discussed earlier, a randomized control trial in Phytomedicine found that Chaste Tree significantly improved luteal phase length and progesterone levels in women with luteal phase defects. The study showed that 77% of women experienced normalized progesterone levels after 3 months of treatment. Irregular cycles due to stress. Research in the European Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology found that Chaste Tree helped regulate cycles in women with stress-related menstrual irregularities. The herb appeared to work by normalizing the stress responses' impact on reproductive hormones. Hyperprolactinemia. A study demonstrated that Chaste Tree effectively reduced elevated prolactin levels in women with hyperprolactinemia, leading to restored ovulation and improved fertility. PMS and PMDD. Multiple studies have shown Chaste Tree's effectiveness for reducing PMS symptoms, which often correlate with progesterone deficiency and luteal phase defect. A comprehensive review analyzed multiple clinical trials and found that Chaste Tree was most effective for women with documented luteal phase defects, those with mild to moderate prolactin elevation, women experiencing cycle irregularities after discontinuing hormonal birth control. The research shows success rates of 60 to 80% for appropriate candidates when used for at least 3 months. However, the key phrase here is appropriate candidates. A study in fertility and sterility compared Chaste Tree to placebo in women with various fertility issues and found that it only showed significant benefits in women that had documented progesterone deficiency or luteal phase defects. Women with other fertility issues showed no improvement. This research highlights why proper diagnosis is crucial before using Chaste Tree. Who should not use Chaste Tree? Let's get into it. This is perhaps the most important section because Chaste Tree can actually worsen certain fertility conditions. Women with PCOS, for example, is a big one. Many women with PCOS are told to take Chaste Tree, but research suggests that this can actually worsen the condition. A study in reproductive biology and endocrinology found that Chaste Tree can increase LH levels, which are already elevated in most women with PCOS. This worsens the LH to FSH ratio, which ideally in our world is a 1-to-1. And it is so characteristic of PCOS for PCOS women to specifically have a 1.5-to-1 or 2-to-1 LH to FSH ratio. And if Chaste Tree is going to increase the LH, that will actually make that ratio way worse. Women with estrogen dominance without progesterone deficiency should not take Chaste Tree. If estrogen is high relative to progesterone, but your progesterone levels are actually normal, Chaste Tree might not help at all and could potentially make your symptoms worse. Women on hormonal medications may not want to take Chaste Tree. Chaste Tree can interfere with hormonal birth control, fertility medications, and hormone replacement therapy. Chaste Tree has been shown to reduce the effectiveness of hormonal contraceptives. So it's really important that women that are on birth control stay off of Chaste Tree berries. Additionally, if you're undergoing IVF, most reproductive endocrinologists would recommend discontinuing Chaste Tree during IVF cycles because it can interfere with the precise hormonal protocols that are being used in assisted reproduction. If your endocrinologist has not asked you to discontinue Chaste Tree, it may just be that they don't know that you're taking it. So make sure you tell your doctor that you are taking Chaste Tree. And for all of our clients, we certainly recommend getting off of all things that are going to affect your hormones during an IVF cycle, which is super important. If you are spending $20,000 for a cycle, that you're not taking anything that's going to contradict or make it harder for IVF to work. However, I will say that sometimes we will encourage the use of herbs like Chaste Tree in specific cycles where a woman is not actively undergoing IVF. So if we are looking to create balance and restore hormonal cycles, we could potentially use Chaste Tree or some other herbs that we wouldn't actively take if you were undergoing IVF. So keep that in mind, and your dosage, the right set of herbs, and even whether or not to take them at specific times is going to depend on what's happening specifically for you. Some research has also suggested that Chaste Tree might stimulate the immune system, which could be problematic for women with autoimmune conditions that are affecting fertility. While traditionally the use of Chaste Tree has been to support lactation, there is insufficient safety data for pregnancy, and it should generally be discontinued once pregnancy is achieved. However, I will note that there are some women who I have shared this data with, and they still opted to stay on Chaste Tree because they wanted to support their progesterone levels during the first trimester. And according to traditional medicine, it is okay and safe, but you are taking a risk if you are continuing through pregnancy and breastfeeding. The key point is that natural doesn't always mean safe for everyone. Chaste Tree is a powerful herb that affects your hormonal system. It needs to be used appropriately. So let's review the right uses for Chaste Tree. If you've determined that Chaste Tree is appropriate for your situation, here's how to use it effectively based on research. Proper dosing. Most clinical studies have used standardized extracts containing 20 to 40 milligrams of Chaste Tree extract daily. Some studies used up to 40 milligrams daily for more severe cases. The key is using a standardized extract rather than a random herbal preparation. This is true for herbs across the board, but standardized extracts make sure that you have a specific amount of the herb at a specific dose that can be measured in every single dose that you get into your body. The timing of Chaste Tree also is very important. I suggest that Chaste Tree be taken first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, which is best for absorption. Some practitioners recommend taking it only during the luteal phase after ovulation, but most of the research uses it throughout the cycle. In my experience, even though most research uses it throughout the entire cycle, I find that taking Chaste Tree at the same dose for the entire cycle is usually the wrong approach. In my experience, I prefer to cycle Chaste Tree during the luteal phase, or if someone needs Chaste Tree the entire time, to do a lower dose in the follicular phase and double that dose in the luteal phase to make sure that the body is getting the right signals at the right time. Quality is always an issue when it comes to supplements and herbs. It's really important to look for the standardized products and active compounds studied in research. Avoid products that don't specify standardization. Some people might tell you that the combination of Chaste Tree with other herbs is not recommended. I actually don't agree with this advice because herbs traditionally are always used in combination. And even though it's harder to study formulations, it's really important that an herb like Chaste Tree be balanced with other herbs that will potentially support the outcome from different angles. And often these types of formulas work better than solo single herb formulations. That's not to say that Chaste Tree can't work on its own, but certainly we find it more optimal and more effective when it is used in combination with the right herbs alongside of it. In general, research has shown that typically Chaste Tree takes about 3 months to show initial effects, with optimal benefits seen at 6 months. Don't expect immediate results. This herb does work slowly in gradually balancing your hormonal communication. And while using Chaste Tree, track your cycles carefully. Monitor the cycle length, the ovulation timing, your luteal phase length, and any changes in PMS symptoms. This helps you assess whether it's working or not. If you experience a worsening of symptoms, if your cycles are becoming more irregular, or if you don't see improvement after 6 months of consistent use, it's time to discontinue Chaste Tree. A study in phytotherapy research found that women who used Chaste Tree consistently for 6 months had the best outcomes, with 85% of them experiencing improved cycle regularity and 70% achieving pregnancy within 12 months. So it can be super helpful, but again, it's always for the right person. Based on my clinical experience and research, here are some common mistakes that women make when using Chaste Tree. The first and foremost is taking it for the wrong fertility issues. The biggest mistake is using Chaste Tree if the condition doesn't get addressed by the use of Chaste Tree. And there is a lot of research on Chaste Tree Berry because it is such a popular recommendation for fertility. If you have PCOS, thyroid dysfunction, or structural fertility issues, Chaste Tree probably won't help and might be a waste of time. Many over-the-counter products contain insufficient amounts of active compounds. Research-based dosing requires standardized extracts, not just ground up herb. So it's really important to make sure that you're getting a high-quality product in the right dose. The next issue is not giving it enough time. I see women giving up after 4 to 6 weeks, but the research clearly shows that it takes 3 to 6 months for full effects. Your hormonal system doesn't change overnight. You have to give it enough time. A study in the Journal of Pharmaceutical and Biomedical Analysis found that many commercial Chaste Tree products contain little to no active compounds. Quality matters enormously with herbal medicine. It's really important that you get a high quality herbal extract. Taking Chaste Tree alongside herbs that have opposing effects could potentially negate its benefits. Things like saw palmetto would not be appropriate to combine with Chaste Tree. So if you are taking a product that is kind of an all-in-one, and I've even seen Chaste Tree paired with things like black cohosh. I consider Chaste Tree a progesteronic support, while something like black cohosh is more of an estrogenic support. So if you put those two things together, you're actually confusing the body and not allowing either of those herbs to have the effect that they should have. So it's really, really important that you look into who formulated these products and what do they know about hormones? What do they know about fertility? Is this really going to help? I see Chaste Tree in so many herbal products and teas that claim fertility benefits, but I would be very careful about taking anything like that because I often find that those herbal products have just a mishmash of herbs that have potentially negative effects towards each other. All right. Chaste Tree also works best when other factors affecting fertility are also addressed. If you have significant stress, poor nutrition, other health issues, Chaste Tree just isn't going to be sufficient. So it's really important to address underlying root causes when you are using Chaste Tree or when you are struggling on the fertility journey. One of my other patients made several of these mistakes. She was taking a low quality Chaste Tree product for only 6 weeks while dealing with severe work stress and eating a high inflammatory diet. When we addressed her stress, improved her nutrition, and switched to a research grade Chaste Tree extract, she saw significant improvements in just 3 months. So it doesn't have to take forever, but it's really important that you are addressing all of the layers of the fertility struggle. Since Chaste Tree isn't appropriate for everyone, let's discuss better alternatives for some of the more common fertility issues. And you should note that I have full-length videos on most of these topics, so make sure to check out the rest of the videos that are in this library. For PCOS, instead of Chaste Tree, research supports spearmint tea for reducing androgens, inositol for improving insulin sensitivity, and saw palmetto for reducing excess male hormones. It's really important with PCOS that you understand which of these issues is actually driving your PCOS, and you don't just take supplements for PCOS willy-nilly, because again, PCOS is a very complicated complex situation that needs deeper diving and understanding before supplementing. The next is estrogen dominance. For estrogen dominance, DIM or diindole methane, calcium D-glucarate are much better supported by research for supporting healthy estrogen metabolism. For healthy estrogen metabolism, I also think it's really important to understand which of the pathways for estrogen metabolism isn't actually working properly, because a lot of people think they have estrogen dominance, but they don't understand which pathway is blocked and where the problem actually lies. So really, really important to make sure that you've had that tested and that you're taking supplements that don't upregulate pathways that shouldn't be upregulated for you in order to metabolize estrogen. So even though DIM and calcium D-glucarate are better supported, there are at least 6 pathways that are working to metabolize estrogen out of your body. And if you are upregulating or downregulating things without knowing the full picture, you could be doing more harm than good. For stress-related fertility issues, I very much love ashwagandha and rhodiola, which have much stronger research supporting the stress response and how that would help support fertility. Additionally, rhodiola has a beautiful amount of research on how it supports mitochondrial health, which is so important for fertility. So rhodiola might be a great alternative if you are struggling with stress-related fertility issues. For thyroid-related fertility issues, addressing the thyroid function directly through proper testing and treatment is way more effective than hoping that Chaste Tree Berry will do anything. For unexplained infertility, a comprehensive approach addressing gut health, inflammation, and nutrient deficiencies is often more beneficial than any single herb. The key is matching the intervention to the actual problem and not just taking popular fertility herbs and hoping for the best. This is the exact same reason why I was so frustrated with the fertility supplements on the market and why I'm in the process of creating my own startup that has a full spectrum of fertility support that is specific and individualized to what people are struggling with. If you are interested in getting in on that at a very early stage, I'm going to leave that link below. It's madrefertility.com or analysis.madrefertility.com. And we're actually building a platform that helps support you in finding your root cause and linking it to the proper supplements, herbs, whatever it is that is going to support what is happening in your body based on data. So here's how to understand if Chaste Tree is right for your situation. Do you have documented luteal phase defects or low progesterone? Luteal phase defects, I do have an episode on that, so make sure to check that out. But luteal phase defects are where your luteal phase is shorter than the optimal 12 days, if 12 or 14 days. If your luteal phase is shorter than that, then you potentially have luteal phase defect. And the other ways that you would see this, if you're monitoring your hormones with, say, like a Mira device, then you will see progesterone that doesn't sustain and drops off very quickly. That is also a luteal phase defect or low progesterone. Are your cycles irregular due to stress or coming off of birth control? If either of those are true, then Vitex or Chaste Tree is going to be a beautiful supplement for you. Do you have elevated prolactin levels? Prolactin is tricky because if your levels are elevated to a low or moderate level, then Chaste Tree is awesome. If prolactin is above 70-ish, then I would consider further workup before considering Chaste Tree supplementation. Also, have you ruled out PCOS, thyroid issues, and other hormonal conditions? If you haven't done the proper work in understanding what is happening with your body, it's really important to do that first before you start supplementing without knowing what's happening. And last but not least, are you willing to commit to 6 months of consistent use? It's really important to when you're starting something new, to know that you're going to need to give it some time. While you're using Chaste Tree Berries, I would suggest tracking cycle length, regularity, ovulation timing using OPKs or BBTs, your luteal phase length, and PMS symptoms. You can also track any side effects or worsening symptoms. And the red flags to stop taking Chaste Tree immediately would be cycles become more irregular, PMS symptoms get worse, you develop new symptoms like headaches or mood changes, your cycles stop completely. All of these are reasons to discontinue Chaste Tree use right away. To summarize, Chaste Tree can be an effective fertility herb, but only for specific conditions when used correctly. It works best for women with luteal phase defects, mild prolactin elevation, and stress-related or birth control-related cycle irregularities. It's not appropriate for women with PCOS or other hormonal conditions who are taking any other hormonal medications or those with other underlying fertility issues. My patient, Sarah, who I mentioned at the beginning, is a perfect example why proper assessment matters. Once we identified her real issue was insulin resistance, not progesterone deficiency, we addressed that directly. Her cycles regulated very quickly and she did conceive naturally, something that would have never happened with Chaste Tree Berry alone. So, the key takeaway is effective natural fertility support requires proper diagnosis and targeted interventions, not just popular herbs or supplements and hoping for the best. If you found this video useful, please give the video a thumbs up, share it with someone who might benefit, write us a review, write a comment. Let's create a community of people that are empowered around their fertility. And as you know, I mentioned earlier in the video, I do have a custom assessment for understanding your fertility and understanding your root causes better. So if you want to check that out, it will be linked in the description below. It's analysis.madrefertility.com. Remember, natural doesn't always mean harmless, and effective natural treatment requires the same careful consideration as any other medical intervention. When used properly, Chaste Tree can be amazing and a valuable tool on your fertility journey. So until next time, this is Dr. Omatma, the Holistic Fertility Doctor, reminding you that evidence-based natural approaches work best when they're matched with your individual body's needs. I'll see you next time. Peace.